Hello, friends. The 663rd day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. Russian troops have increased the activity of artillery strikes and are also continuing infantry assaults with the support of artillery and aviation. The commander in the southeast sector, Tarnowski, announced this yesterday. The issue of Russian superiority in artillery is also raised by Western media. There is a growing shortage of shells in Ukraine, writes the BBC with reference to the Ukrainian military near Bakhmut. The gap from Russia is 4 to 5 times. The supplies are not enough. If we had more shells, we would have already advanced far beyond Klishchiivka. In any case, we are trying to shoot exactly the quantity that we have, the battery commander of the 22nd Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces told the publication. At the peak of the counteroffensive, the ratio between the Russians and our artillery was basically 1-to-1 or more in our favor. Now we fire 1 round for every 4 or 5 rounds the Russians fire, says another soldier, a drone operator who aims artillery. Another Ukrainian military officer noted that, without military support from the West, the situation will become very bad. Continuing the shells theme, General Tarnowski told Reuters that Ukraine's armed forces had already curtailed some operations due to a lack of Western aid, particularly artillery shells. He says that along the entire front line, there is a shortage of ammunition, especially of the post-Soviet caliber, 122 and 152 millimeters. He called it a very big problem. The volumes we have today are not enough for us, given our needs, so we redistribute them. We are rescheduling the tasks that we have set for ourselves and reducing them, because we need to provide for them, Tarnowski said. He says that the Ukrainian army has gone on the defensive in some areas, but in some places they are still continuing to advance. At the same time, according to Tarnowski, the Russian army is also experiencing problems with ammunition. In the Kupiansk section of the Kharkiv direction, the enemy continues to attack the forest near Liman Pershi, where he had successes in recent days, Ukrainian telegram channels write. The Russians continue to try to enter in columns and gain a foothold in Sinkivka. The enemy, after offensive actions, and as a result of a successful counterattack by the Ukrainian army, was driven out of the village, but one of the strongholds on the northern outskirts remains under his control. According to the Ukrainian telegram channel Deep State, the enemy moved 2 engineering units to the Liman Druhi area, which may indicate an attempt to establish a crossing across the Oskil River. The Russians also continue to try to advance in the Serebryansky forestry in the Liman area. The situation is dynamic, clashes continue. In the Bakhmut sector, the enemy is advancing along the highway to Chasiv Yar, and now fighting continues in the eastern and northern outskirts of Bogdanivka. The Russians are also conducting offensive operations from Bakhmut towards Ivanivsky. In the Kromovy area, the enemy is advancing in an area up to 530 meters wide and to a depth of up to 170 meters. According to the Deep State Telegram channel, there is a difficult situation at height 215 in the Klishchiivka area. The fighting there continues, as if they managed to stop the enemy, but this is based on preliminary information, writes Deep State. West of Kurdyumivka, Ukrainian armed forces used drones to attack Russian infantry and technical structures near the canal, which is why a gray zone was added. On the northern flank of the Avdiivka direction, small enemy infantry groups continue to put pressure in the Stepovy area and in the populated area itself. The enemy has partial success along the forest belt. After the capture of the industrial zone and the occupation of the position of our troops, battles are already taking place in the private sector on Kolosova Street and Yasenovsky Lane. The enemy improved his tactical position north of Obotny, as well as north and west of Odyany. A similar situation is in Pervomaysky. Several positions have been lost. To the south there is a difficult situation in Maryanka. The enemy drove our forces out of the southern part of the city and almost from the northern one. According to the Ukrainian telegram channel Deep State, over the past 5 days the enemy has carried out active offensive operations on most sectors of the front. Only by mid-December did they begin to have problems with the accumulation of personnel, but the number of main and reserve troops remains huge. For offensive actions, the enemy increases its superiority in manpower. For example, in early December, the Russians attracted 8 times more personnel to attack one of the company's strongholds of the defense forces. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. Thank you very much.